It's Wednesday and I'm back on Sark in the Channel Islands, the little island where I live, and you can hear from the echo that I'm in the Mermaid Tavern toilets, where I'm giving them a good old clean before opening the pub and starting the day back at work. So I got back on Friday and slept Friday night, all of Saturday, all of Sunday. I've never slept that much in my life. Like, I got up and went to the loo and ate briefly, but basically slept, and blimey did I need it. I got hit by a cold in the last couple of days of the pilgrimage, and so I just had to give myself that rest, and I'm still quite coldy now, but I am feeling much better. But yeah, I'm now in the integration stage of the pilgrimage. If you are a Lord of the Rings fan, you'll know from reading, or the Hobbit, you'll know from reading those books that he gives quite a lot of time and weight to talking about the return, and things aren't the same. He has to fight the orcs who are in the Shire when he gets there, which is one thing. I haven't had to do that, although we do have our own orcs in a way. There is some battles going on here that are really, I'm thoroughly impressed with what I've heard. Like, the locals have been really rallying around and working together to fight off the orcs that we have in our particular situation here. Really inspiring, so that's exciting to hear. So I've come back to that, and straight away had a government meeting last night, and right back into the throes of all the stuff, and yeah, going to start meeting and talking to people today. I've been avoiding it and trying to, you just don't know what to say and how to put it. Like, how does Frodo talk about having gone to Mordor, to people, and they come back, they're like, oh, what was it like? It's like, what, Mordor? What do you say? And it wasn't obviously as bad as that, but he captured something that's very true in that book. That there's just this, I think probably everyone has it from, if you've been travelling, backpacking, and you've been through a real adventure, and you come back and people want to talk about it, and in a way Facebook sort of takes it away a little bit. It used to be that we'd actually be able to tell you about it and do like a slideshow or something, whereas in this day and age they've been with you and been following you, and almost there's no point talking about it. So yeah, making choices about what to say and how to put it and all that kind of thing, and because you had this huge thing and you don't want to like cram it down into something small. So for this week's podcast, I'm going to be sharing the interview I had with my dear friend Graham at the end of the pilgrimage. Now, Graham met me, I got connected up with him in 2020 because he is a fellow pilgrim, and he walked the whole of the Michael and Mary line in the early 2000s, and he led a big group of people. It was nine core people, and then the group got bigger at a certain point. So he's the person who, when I knew that we were going to do Walk to Cop, because by the time I finished the first pilgrimage in 2020, Anna, my friend Anna, who's connected to the Cop world, who'd walked with me for a day or two in Suffolk, she had suggested that we take something up to Cop. So by the end of the first pilgrimage, plans were already underway for the Cop pilgrimage. So when I got connected up with Graham, which was through Richard Dealer, who is the guy who wrote the guidebooks that we follow when we walk the pilgrimage routes in this direction. You can only really follow them in this direction, the one that we just did from west to east, because they're very detailed descriptions, and so you'd have to kind of read them backwards. And we did try and do that once, and it was quite difficult, so we sort of gave up on that. But Richard Dealer wrote some guidebooks that go from west to east up to Avebury, and then after that you make it up yourself. But he's a lovely man, and he met me on my first pilgrimage, and very kindly sent these pilgrims who had walked the walk themselves to come and meet me at the end in Hopton, which is the end destination, so that I had some people to kind of fanfare and celebrate what I'd done, because he knew what a big deal it was, and it was really sweet of him, and they were amazing, and it was so lovely to have these people come and meet me. And I got on really well with Graham, and he gave me all the advice and tips I needed for setting up a bigger pilgrimage, including lots of other people. And yeah, so he's been a real asset, and yeah, just a good friend, pilgrim friend. And so it was lovely to hear properly his version of what happened on their pilgrimage, and what his experiences are of pilgrimage coming to an end, and how to integrate and all the rest of it. So it'd be lovely to share this with you. And yeah, this is the wonderful Graham Joyce.
I remember when we did the walk, I remember discovering at some point, I think it was coming along the Ridgeway or through the Chilterns, that in general, the distant horizon that you could see is 2 days walk away. And it was a lovely way of understanding distance.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, look at that all over there. In 2 days' time we'll be there. Yeah.
One of my favourite things is to, at those points, go, see all that, we walked all that, and then turn around and go, see all that, we're going to walk all that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah. What do maybe talk about what you did?
What I did?
Yeah, what was it you did? What did you do?
I think I want to start by talking about how I connected with all this in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is that actually before that, I'll start off with the fact that I was trained and worked as an archaeologist for about 10 or 15 years. And archaeologists don't do ley lines. It's like, oh no, that's too weird. So there's anything to do with the Michael line, at least initially, would have provoked a bit of an edge in me. But jumping on from being an archaeologist, in my early 30s, I was making wind chimes, and I was selling wind chimes to about 20 different craft shops around the country. And one of the craft shops that I sold to was owned and run by a chap called Paul Broadhurst. So anybody who knows anything about the Michael line and the Michael Mary lines, the name Paul Broadhurst will mean something, because he was, along with Hamish Miller, was the co-author of a book called The Sun and the Serpent, which was about the dowsing of the energy lines associated with the St Michael line. And Paul, along with putting in an order for some wind chimes, happened to mention, oh, I've just written this book. Part of it goes through your part of the country, you might be interested. So I bought a copy of it, and I discovered, and this seems quite pertinent to speak of this here now, because we're sitting in the Green Dragon pub in Bungay, and just over the river from Bungay is a little village called Ditchingham, which used to have a college hospital, and that's where I was born. And the Mary line goes right through Ditchingham.
Oh, wow.
And where I was conceived and brought up was in a village called Weybridge, which was just on the Suffolk side of the river from the previous market town called Harleston. And the Michael line goes through Weybridge. And so instantly for me there was some sense of personal connection in my early life with the Michael and Mary lines. Only exacerbated, if that's the right word, further by the fact that my parents' middle names are Michael and Mary.
Oh, wow.
So there was something going on which is to do with synchronicity.
Yeah.
And I guess I could say that synchronicity has played a big part for me in my journey with with the Michael line. That was in the late 80s, early 90s that I came across that book. That it just sat with me. I didn't do any more with it than that. It was just this weird little bit of information. But come early in the 21st century, about maybe 2006 or 7, I was speaking with a friend up in North Norfolk about the idea of organising a walk. And the walk I wanted to organise was this one, along that ley line, or along those energy lines. I've probably missed out a bit. Or maybe that's, yes, I'm not sure about the sequence of things. But part of wanting to organise this particular walk was, it's connected with the name Albion. Albion is a name associated with this country, with Britain. More specifically, Albion is a name that William Blake used to describe the spiritual energy of the land, as well as being an everyman quality. And more specifically still, in that book, The Sun and the Serpent, John Michell, himself an author, and the chap who initially noticed and named the St. Michael ley line, he wrote the introduction to that book, and he happened to mention in his introduction that sometime soon after he had discovered the St. Michael ley line, he painted a mural on a cafe in Glastonbury of an earth giant, feet in Cornwall, head in East Anglia, referencing Blake's Albion. And on that mural he painted interweaving lines which he saw as being the energy meridians of that earth figure. 20 years later, Hamish and Paul made that journey and dowsed exactly those interweaving energy lines. So somehow Michelle, perhaps if you like, picked up, intuited their existence.
So that's our darling Graham. So I'm just popping in halfway through so that we can have a little tiny break to talk about Patreon. If you enjoy this podcast, then please consider supporting me on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Jolie Rose. This is such a pleasure to make this podcast every week. I am trying to get better and better at it. It's been quite difficult doing it whilst on the move, and I wasn't able to do some of the offerings that I normally put out there, like the card readings and other such things. I was amazed I managed to do as much as I did with the articles and the podcast. And now that I'm back, I will be very much focusing on creation hibernation and finishing my book. And so people interested in being part of that process can join us for that. And also the moon ceremonies. We did a Taurus full moon ceremony last night, which was wonderful to be back and in luxury and hanging out with all my lovely witches. So if you appreciate the work that I do and the free content that I put out there, then supporting me on Patreon is just a really nice way to say thank you, and I very much appreciate it. You do get some extra content, but not huge amounts. Like I mainly want to do things for free, so it's basically just a big thank you, and I greatly appreciate it. And anyone who supports me, a huge thank you. So if you're able to, that would be amazing. And yeah, more information to come soon about the creation hibernation. Kooky Club will be starting soon, so watch this space for more info on that. Otherwise, on with the show.
I think for me, where I came in or where this became meaningful for me was making that connection of, so I was conceived on the Michael line, I was born on the Mary line, and if that earth figure has any reality, then Norfolk and Suffolk can be seen as the head of Albion, Norfolk and Suffolk, the two hemispheres of Albion's brain. Where we are now in the Waveney Valley, the corpus callosum, the place that interweaves the two halves of the brain, that interweaves the, if you like, the rational and the intuitive. And so there was something growing in me which I have since learnt to understand as one's mythopoetic identity. Yeah? And so my mythopoetic identity is that I was conceived and born and have lived most of my life within Albion's brain. And I have journeyed up and down that stretch of the line, often in the Waveney Valley. I've crisscrossed between the two, so I've done that connecting of those two hemispheres. Yeah, that's part of the background to.
Which one do you reckon's which? Which do you think Norfolk's the intuitive bit? Do you have a feeling as to which half is which?
Yes, I think Norfolk is the right brain and Suffolk is the left brain.
Yeah, I would say the same.
I think so. So jumping forward to 2006, 2007. That was the walk I wanted to do. I wanted to walk that landscape. I wanted to walk that the mythic body of Albion.
It also means he's lying up looking at the stars, if it's his right side of Norfolk.
Yes, which I think. Yeah. And a friend and I put a walk together. We with the Albion connection, we called the walk Awakening Albion. Maybe with the hope that from walking to toes to crown chakra, we would have some effect on awakening the energies. Perhaps that's a bit presumptuous, I don't know. But we organised a walk that we called the Awakening Albion Walk, and we did a lot of. There was a lot of research. There was a lot of organisation to do. It was a walk that involved sometimes as many as almost 30 people. It was all, the structure of it was all pre-organised. So we had all the sites, all the campsites worked out beforehand, the distances, the route. We did it as a community walk. We had a couple of vehicles supporting the walkers. So walkers only had to carry day packs. They didn't have to carry rucksacks and tents and everything. And we did it taking turns to be crew. So it felt important to me. I think another part of my background leading up to this was involvement with community camps, dance camp and other camps in East Anglia, which were always very much community orientated, where we were all doing stuff for each other and looking after each other, and it felt important to bring that quality to the walk. So rather than having a driver and a chef, we all took turns doing it. And it was good, it worked. What else can I could go on about the walk, I don't know.
How did we find each other?
Oh, that's true, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, so that's something I've been thinking about since we met yesterday, and we're talking about this idea of meeting up and doing a little filming. I have a real sense of lineage. I have a real lovely sense of being part of lineage. So that name I mentioned earlier, John Michel, so he died some years ago, but he was the chap who in the 60s discovered the St Michael ley line, lining up with various churches dedicated to St Michael. That was in the 60s. 20 years later, Hamish Miller and Paul Broadhurst made the journey, discovering and dowsing the interweaving energy lines. And then, I get hold of their book. That connects me all with this. I got in touch with Hamish. Hamish was very supportive. He gave us a copy of his maps that he had marked the energy lines that he dowsed. He gave us a donation towards organising the walk. He met us on the walk early on, and he was visibly moved. We were sitting in circles sharing why we'd all come on this walk, and he got quite tearful, and there was a real sense of him passing on the baton, that here were we. I think there'd been individuals walked it before, but the walk that we organised was the first time there'd been like a big community walk, and yeah, he was really moved by it. And I'm likewise moved to be here and to have met you guys over the last couple of days and again today. And yeah, so Jolie, we met. Your memory's better on this than mine.
2000.
You said 5 years ago, didn't you? 2020.
Yeah. 2020, so not 2000.
So you met me because you met or contacted a chap called Richard Dealer, who had organised a route in the west part of the country, Devon and Cornwall and Somerset, and he put you in contact with me, and you were just coming towards the end of doing a solo walk of the Michael Line, and we met.
You came to celebrate.
I came to celebrate. We met at Hopton.
Yeah.
And I
didn't know who you were. Richard just was like, "Oh, I've organised some friends to come and
brilliant,
to come and meet you." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And then you guys turned up and you're like, "We did this," and I was like, "Oh, amazing."
Yes.
Yeah. And then you told me that you'd done it with a group, and I had a conversation with Anna about possibly taking something to COP as a performance.
Yeah.
And you said you'd done it with a group, so you were able to give advice.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So we had that conversation, didn't we? Where I told you a little bit about how we structured it and organised it. And then that's the last. We lost contact. That's the last time I heard of you until 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And then I look on your website and it's like, oh, hang on. Oh, wait a minute. This is that person. This is that person I met 5 years ago. Oh, wow. And you did that walk, that community walk to COP. And then you did a stretch of the Michael Line. And then you did another walk. And then you just started doing this one. And so, and we're about to meet again.
And I'd been trying to get hold of you, and your emails had bounced for some reason. Yeah. And then suddenly you appeared. And I was like, I've been trying to get hold of you. But how did you feel at the end? Because we're coming up to the end now. This is like literally 2 days left. What's your feeling about the end, and what happens after?
I don't know how it is for other people, but I know that for me, I find transitions quite difficult, and there's definitely a transition. If you've spent several weeks walking on the earth with a bunch of people, and then you all go your own ways, that's going to be a big transition.
Yeah.
And I think I found it hard. It's like I knew, it's obvious it was coming up. I knew it was coming up. Maybe what's important is how you do what you're doing. I'm just thinking of like the end of our walk, of the Albion walk. We knew what we were doing. That's a very rash thing to say, isn't it? We had it structured. I'm going to go back briefly to the beginning of the walk. If we're going to have endings, we'll have beginnings. So in the organising of it, we worked out the distance, we worked out the number of stops, how much we could walk each day, how long it was going to take. We realised that we could do it in 7 weeks. And we timed it so that we started at Beltane at the beginning of May. And the reason we started at Beltane was because it just so happens, if just so happens is something that is true, it just so happens that the alignment of the Michael Line is such that if you were to stand at the Cornish end and look up the line, or rather, if you were to stand at the Cornish end and watch the sunrise at Beltane, beginning of May, or watch the sunrise at Lammas, luminous, beginning of August, you would be looking directly up the line. It just so happens that is the alignment. And conversely, if you were to stand at the Norfolk end at Hopton and watch the sun set at Samhain or at Imbolc, you would be looking down the line. And so we thought that would be a neat way to begin the walk. So we started at Beltane. We camped a mile away the day before, and we walked in darkness, pre-dawn darkness, down to the headland, and we waited and we watched the sunrise. And the sunrise was marking our route. And coming to the end now, realising that it would take 7 weeks, we timed it so that we arrived at Hopton on the eve of summer solstice. And we did a vigil through the night and finished the walk watching the sunrise over the sea, solstice sunrise. So that was I think that was helpful to have like a definite, for us to have like a definite ritual ending in that way. What was very messy, what was not good about the ending, was that the place we were camped immediately before Hopton, we had been between 12 and 27, 28 people through the walk, and on that last evening, a lot of people descended on us. I don't know how many, maybe 50, 60, 70, 80, I don't know. It's like it was just a lot.
A large number.
It was just like a lot of people.
Yeah.
A few of them were people who had done bits of the walk, and we welcomed them back. A lot of people just wanted to be there, and I found that really hard. It's like, I think maybe especially for those of us, there were 9 of us that did the whole journey, and I know that for me, I just wanted to like be as present as I could be on that last walk, and I found it intensely irritating to have people around me who just wanted to chit chat and wanted to make some connection with me. I was not in that place. So that was messy, that was hard. I think what redeemed it was that when we got to Hopton, when we got to the church at Hopton, we had already made a decision that we were going to walk in silence from Hopton down to the beach. So that was like a legitimate way to cut the chit chat. So that was how we ended it. And as for afterwards, well, people go back to they either go back to whatever they were doing before, or they do something different, but whatever they're doing, they're not doing that. And that's just how it is. And maybe, well, you just have to accept that. And maybe that's easy, or maybe sometimes it's not easy, maybe there's a load of grief comes up. So yeah, I guess it's useful to be able to process that.
It carries on working for long after as well, doesn't it? Like
oh yes,
it's doing stuff. I mean, even now the story continues, doesn't it?
Yes. I mean, if that was 2008, so that was 17 years ago that I did that walk, and I would say that I've been with that pretty much ever since.
Yeah.
And it's been doing its thing ever since. I remember when Hamish met us at the beginning of the walk, he said, doing this walk will change you, and you will have no idea how until some years afterwards. And I can totally vouch for that.
Yeah, totally.
Have you noticed what those differences are?
Well, I think for me, I mean, I'm sure they've been different for different people, but I think for me, I mean, I've already told you about how my coming into organising the walk was from those personal connections that I discovered with the lines, and in a way, not all the time. Like I successfully managed to ignore the whole experience for some years, but it's like it wouldn't let go of me, and it was still pulling. And I've given some attention in recent years to investigating more. How can I put it? Like just looking deeper at the concept of those energy lines being the energy meridians, the main energy meridians of the body of this mythic figure Albion. So I've started off with this rather possibly extremely bizarre idea that I was conceived and born and lived within the brain of Albion. So it's like I started with that. It's like, well, if there's any truth in that, well, what about the rest of the body? What about the rest of those chakras? Like, where are those chakras? You know, I mean, I've spoken of and written in. Oh, there's a little jump. We made a book of the walk called Awakening Albion, which has lots of nice photographs and poetry and diary entries and etc., etc. And I think in there at the beginning I'm talking a little bit about this mythopoetic connection. And the idea that where those energy lines cross, perhaps, are the chakras. And so I wanted to look at those and see, well, does that tie in? Does that fit? Well, I've found that it does. I've found that some of the places up the line definitely fit with the energetics that one would associate with the chakras in the human body. So I've been exploring that. I've been writing about that. Yeah, so that's one of the ways it's impacted for me, is just dropping deeper into that. I suppose feeling I don't know if it's the person, but I came across the phrase mythopoetic identity in the writings of a chap called Bill Plotkin, who is a psychotherapist and wilderness guide who's written a number of books. The Nature of the Human Soul, I think, is one of them. Anyway, he talks about how part of one's journey through life is to discover one's mythopoetic identity, and with that one discovers one's purpose, what one's gift might be to the world.
Oh, interesting.
And I suppose I have a sense that that's what my purpose and potential gift is to learn more about this whole concept of mythic beings and of Albion, and to explore that and to put that out.
It's interesting because it makes me think of Kith and Kin. There's a book called Kith, which is about people, is your land, your connection to land.
Yes.
And when you said mythopoetic before, what's the phrase, mythopoetic? It made me think of Kith, in that as a kid you have this mythical land that's your inner world that you play in the natural world. And then you get separated from that and we start believing in the outer world myth and story of your whatever your job is, and you're married and you've got whatever the other roles that you get in this outer world story. And that Kith thing, this is your land, the land that, so it's almost like a coming home. So it's not like a thing you're making up, it's a thing you're reclaiming. Actually this is just as real, if not more real, than the outer world myth that's made up about me as well. When you were saying
they're both.
Well, they're both.
They're both real.
They're both real.
And that they're different realities. It's like if I come back to that part of me that was an archaeologist, then all this stuff I'm talking about is definitely woo-woo and out there. And I'm not wanting to deny the truth of the archaeologist, but I'm also not wanting to deny the truth, I suppose, of the mystic.
Yeah, totally. And that's what I feel is the transition of finishing the pilgrimage, is going from the mytho-poetic version of myself back to the other version of myself, which has got to go to work and be in the pub and earn some money again. But it's that transition of going from Kairos time to Chronos time and changing back into that other role. But we need to put time aside to spend proper time in this other role, the inner world one, because we make so little time for it in normal life. And I think something about in the same way as the energy lines are interweaving, to weave those together so that they're not completely separate and distinct. Ideally, they should live alongside each other. I think so. I think so. And should inform each other. I mean, my understanding in the bigger sense of the mythic world it's what the Aborigines call the dreaming. Yes, exactly.
So it's the consciousness of the earth. It's the not just the idea. It's the felt truth that the earth is alive and has its consciousness, has its thoughts, has its dreaming, and the earth needs humans to be able to connect with that and to be able to manifest that. And in the same way, humans need that dreaming of the earth to not endlessly fuck things up.
Yeah.
Which we're proving very skillful at doing.
Yeah. Perfect. So that was the wonderful Graham. Isn't he an absolute darling? I love how many beautiful souls I have met through the adventure of pilgrimaging. That's the biggest take-home thing and the most, the gold. It's the gold of the pilgrimage. It's the incredible people that we meet and the generosity and kindness that's shown to us, and just unbelievable acts of kindness that come our way. And yeah, we're just touched and privileged to know all these wonderful people. And this mythos landscape that Graham talks about is very much what I do in my book. So I give voice to the hedgerow and to the land and the lines and the ancestors and the ghosts, and it's the inner world experience that I had of the land that I walked, which was the same line in the same direction back in 2020, which is when I first met Graham. And so Graham's in the book. And yeah, he gave us a copy of his book, which is Raising Albion. You can still get hold of that. So if you're interested in reading more about their adventures, then you can buy Raising Albion online from Graham Joyce. What an absolute sweetheart he is. So yeah, we've got our integration now, and going to be doing a ceremony with an offering to the other pilgrims and anyone who walked with us if they want to come and join and do a closing of the pilgrimage. I'll be doing that online, and and then we'll just start unpacking all that we learnt from it. So keep listening, and I've got a really exciting interview next week with Fiona Williams, who is one of the wife of one of the woke builders that we met on the pilgrimage, who had a book published talking about her experiences of living in the West Country as a mixed ethnic background family. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to her. Her book's amazing. It's called The House of Broken Bricks. So if you wanted to read that before listening to the podcast, then you can do that. And then we can talk about it next week. The House of Broken Bricks by Fiona Williams. So join me, and yeah, we're going to keep unpacking all that was learnt from walking the beautiful land of Albion. I love her so much, and I'm also very happy to be back on my little island. It's wonderful here. So thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on this journey with me, and I'll see you on.